Hey, what's up, everybody? Jumping here. Today, I'm going to be bringing you a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D Decade Duel deck recipe. It's been a long time since I've done one, but I decided to go ahead and help Chilinkus out and do this deck recipe for him. This is one of Chilinkus' decks that he wanted me to do, and he got it from his buddy Ghostly, and he's a pretty cool guy. And Chilinkus just took this deck, put his own little personal flavor to it, and I really like it. I think it looks pretty awesome, and I would totally want to play with this deck if I still play Decade Duels, but unfortunately I don't. But yeah, let me go ahead and get into the deck because, like I said, it's pretty wicked. All right, to start off is going to be 3 Gagatrons, dragons, pretty much, big old dragon, machine dragon that can come out from Gear Town, all that good stuff. Really easy to get out. Everybody knows what he does at this point. It's pretty much about him. Next card is going to be 3 Black Sabos. Pretty much, one of the better tuners in the game, I think. All you got to do with him is that, you get a Dekochi going. If that goes to the graveyard, you can summon him. And then boom, you got a level 7 Synchro. That's a Dark Strike Fighter, Black Rose Dragon to blow up the field. You are playing Gear Towns. That can be a big plus for you. Things like that. Great card. Next up is going to be 1 Card Trooper. Only thing I'll say about Card Trooper is that he is a decent plus. It depends on like how you play him, and it depends on the luck that you get from milling. Like sometimes you might mill some good stuff, sometimes you might mill terrible things. It just depends. But I do like this card a lot, and machine-wise, he's pretty decent. Pretty much the staple of the deck is the next card. Pretty much like in a way the heart of the deck. That's going to be Cyber Dragon. It's unfortunate you can only play one of him in this deck because it's an old format. But the idea is that, he's going to run the deck. He's going to, he's the reason why the deck is even what it is. You need him to pretty much play Overlord Fusion or to play anything else, like machine-wise. And yeah, you can do big old combos and get out one giant freaking monster. And that's pretty much the point. Moving on, it's going to be 3 Cyber Phoenixes. This card it's an interesting card. If he dies by battle, I think you get to draw a card. That's cool, I guess. And then the other thing too is that, if the only thing I really like about this card is the fact that people are stupid and they will play brain control on him all the time, or they'll try to deprison him and it doesn't work. You can't target him with any traps or spells. So that's pretty cool. And it's funny to watch people waste their good cards. All right, moving on is a pretty awesome card, depending on how you play him, and that's going to be Cyber Valley. Kind of a slow card in a way because, here's the thing about Cyber Valley is that, if you want to get the battle thing going, you have to just summon them and in your turn, and they attack them, you draw a card, you in their battle phase. That's cool. Kind of slow, but overall, he still is a good card. You can do certain combos with him, and especially in this deck, you can pull it off. So machine-wise, he's pretty decent. Next up is going to be a very important card of the deck. That's Dekochi. He's pretty much a floater. Doesn't really do anything. You can get a +1 off of him if you can get its effect off. But, that won't always happen. But, the idea of him is that you want to hopefully draw him early game, set him maybe turn 1 or 2, get him going in the graveyard, and anytime you draw a Black Sabo, you can blow up the field, or you can get Dark Strike Fighter, or you can just get any level 7 you want. So that's pretty much the idea of him. Now, the final card is going to be kind of a unique choice that Chilinkus chose for this deck, and I do actually like it in this deck, and that's going to be Morphin Jar. Now, I'm not a big fan of Morphin Jar. I personally don't like the idea that, I get to draw 5 cards. That's awesome, but my opponent also gets to draw 5 cards. I mean, if you're trying to whittle them down, if you're trying to work on them to, like, guarantee victory, the thing you want to do is to make it so they have no cards in their hand. And if you play this at the wrong time, you'll restock their hand and potentially they might draw better stuff than what you draw. And sometimes you don't want that to happen. But for a deck like this, it does work really well because most of these monsters you want in the graveyard anyway, and you can draw dead with this deck. It can happen. I mean, anytime you play Gagatron, it's a good chance you might draw 3 of them. Who knows? And this can really save you in cases like that. All right, moving on to the spells. Pretty much 1 brain control, staple, obviously. Next up is going to be Future Fusion. This is a really important card in the deck. They're also he's also playing 2 Gold Circles just to get this card. The reason why this is important because the play that you're going to do with this is that you're going to drop this, ditch all your machines, then play Overload Fusion, and then boom, you have a monster with like 22,000 attack. Attack them, attack any monster they have, and it's game over. It's an OTK. So this card is important for that. It's just what, it's pretty much a staple of a deck like this. All right, moving on to the next card. It's going to be 3 Gear Towns. You know what it does. It's a field card. It's just there to forward the Gagatrons. That's pretty much it. Next up's going to be 1 Giant Tornado. Pretty much a staple. This deck is all about trying to go for this big one play. Like, it's one giant play. And, you need cards that can stop them from countering you. Very important. So, this card is definitely necessary for helping you with that. Moving on is going to be 2 Ghost Circles. Like I said, this is to get the Future Fusion for your combo and to also potentially get the Overload Fusion. Depending on, what you have early game, you can, set these up to guarantee you victory. So, yeah, Ghost Circles very necessary for this deck. Next up is going to be 1 Heavy Storm. Pretty much staple. You know what it does. And the next card is actually going to be pretty awesome. Now, this is Mind Control. You could probably play 2 Mind Controls in this deck. That you have 6 cards in this deck that can, benefit off this card. Mainly Black Sabo for, stealing their monster and tuning for Dark Strike Fighter or whatever you're going to do. And another good one is actually the Cyber Valleys. You can steal their monster, and then draw 2 cards. So it's an amazing play if you can ever pull that off. And, Mind Controls is a good card. All right, moving on. 1 Monster Reborn. You guys know what it does. Staple. Then, pretty much MST. Like I said, you do want back row destruction just, for that one big play. And in some people's views and some people's minds, like, they do think this is a staple card, but I don't know. It's a love-hate relationship between me and it. Now, pretty much the most important card of the deck, and, like the main card, which will be Overload Fusion. This card is pretty amazing if you can get it off right. Like I said, if you play your, the combo is you play Future Fusion, you ditch all your machines, and then you play Overload Fusion, and you just get out a giant monster, and you just attack into any monster they have, and it should be game over. So, it's a fun thing to do. This deck is a big-time win more deck, and that can be an issue. What that means is that, if your one big play gets messed up or gets stopped, yeah, you're probably going to lose, to be honest, and you don't want that to happen, but, it's a fun deck. Like, that's the idea. It's just for fun. Alright, and then the final magic card is going to be 1 Scapegoat. Scapegoat, I can't even say it right, but Scapegoat is actually really amazing. It's, think of it like this, is that this card can benefit you from the Cyber Valleys and from the Black Sabo, but the main thing that this thing can do is that, in a certain situation, you can play this to save your life. Let's say they're going to OTK you, and you just have this face down, and they attack. You play this, boom, you got 4 little monsters. They have to attack them. You survive the turn. Your next turn, you draw in the Black Sabo. You summon him, you blow up the field with Black Rose. It brings you right back into the game, and this card can definitely help you because of that. Alright, moving on to the trap cards. 1 Magical Hats. I hope everybody knows what this does by now, but the idea is that you just play this with the Gear Towns. You can get out Gagatrons very easy with this card, so it really can be amazing if you can get it off right. So that's pretty much the point of it. Next card is going to be Mirror Force. A lot of people do not like Mirror Force, including myself, but, it depends on the format, honestly. In real Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I would say that I think Mirror Force is a very necessary card, just because no one plays it. They don't see it coming. So Mirror Force, just like I said, it's situational. So, in certain decks it works, in certain decks it don't. You just gotta play it right. That's just how it goes. Alright, moving on, it's gonna be 3 Reckless Greeds. Pretty much this deck needs all the draw power it can get, and it does have a decent amount of draw power. But yeah, you do need draw power because, if you don't get your gold circles going and get your combo, you're gonna need to hopefully draw into it, and this can definitely help you. This card also, a lot of bad kids will heavy this, and you can just play this, and it's a big negative for them and a big plus for you. So, it's an awesome card because of that. Alright, moving on, it's going to be 1 Torrential Tribute. Pretty much a staple trap card, as you know, and that's all I gotta say about it. And then finally, 1 really awesome tech of the deck, which is going to be 2 Trap Stuns. These cards, this card is actually amazing. Like, this deck cannot play anything like, can't play Cold Wave because it plays a lot of spells, things like that. And Royal Decree could work, but this deck just plays too many traps. So, Trap Stun is a good alternative to that. You're going to play this when you go for your big combo. And if you can get this off, and you're going to do your combo, you should be safe, hopefully. And, you'll mess them up unless they have a Book of Moon, but you know, that's the only thing that's gonna screw you. All right, moving on to the extra deck now. Not really gonna talk about the extra deck much, just gonna show it to you. Pretty standard stuff. The only thing that matters are the fusions, you know, and maybe the Black Rose Dragons, Dark Strike Fighters, all that kind of good stuff. And that's pretty much it. Now moving on to the side deck. Alright, for the side deck, it's going to be one card destruction. Once again, this is a card that can help this deck a lot, just like Morphing Jar, just to ditch, you know, more draw power, and it can ditch a bad hand, because this deck can give you a bad hand. Next up is going to be a good monster destruction card, no matter what anyone says, and that is Lightning Vortex. Once again, this card, you know, this card is like a one-sided dark hole. That's how you think of it. You know, it only can hit the face-ups, but it can really mess up your opponent. And if you have anything in your hand like a Dakochi, there you go. You just discard the Dakochi, and your next turn you summon your Black Sabo, and you got shit going. So, you know. All right, next up's gonna be one limit reverse. Our limit removal. What this does is that this thing will double the attack of all your machines for one turn. You know, can definitely set up huge OTKs, and it's an awesome card. You know, but for the main deck, I don't think you need it. You know, if you want to put it in a certain situation, go for it, but you don't need it in the main deck. Next up is going to be one machine duplication. Pretty much just, you know, it does have a lot of targets in this deck, and you could try to tech this in or try to put this in your deck if you want to try it. Because of the, you know, Cyber Valleys and the Black Sabos, it can do some amazing combos, but it can also not do anything. So it just depends. Like, I don't know. It's how you want to play it. Next up is going to be one Pot of Avarice. Definitely another good card for this deck. You know, you're going to get a lot of cards in your graveyard, you know, especially if you use Future Fusion or anything like that. And then you can just, you know, draw some more cards, and it can save you. And then next up is going to be one Terraforming. Terraforming is there just for getting the Gear Towns if you want to play this. It's totally, you know, it's just up to you. Alright, now for the traps, pretty much standard stuff. 3 Bottomless just for, you know, monster destruction. 3 Solemns for Hand of God negation power. One the Transmigration Prophecy. This card is actually really good. You know, it is limited to 1 for a reason, because there is some crazy combos you can do with this. And this thing can actually help you in this deck a lot. If you mess up your Cyber Valley, your Cyber Dragon, and it's in your graveyard, and you need it back in your deck for whatever reason, you can just play this card, you know? So, there you go. Alright, and the final 2 cards is going to be Trap Dust Shoot, pretty standard. If you lose, put it in. If you win, take it out, things like that. And then finally Gores, which is, you know, amazing card, but just not enough room. So, alright guys, that's going to be pretty much it. I'm going to scroll through the deck one more time to let you see it. I really hope you enjoy this deck. You know, I will definitely be doing maybe more deck recipes for this channel. You know, so please give this video a like. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, have a nice day, guys.